Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming today to the final grand rounds in the series for the year. This is the dice rounds, and we typically end the series. And today we're happy to have with us our health home care management team. And I'm going to get into that a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that everyone is paying attention to. If you haven't seen our slides rotating, make sure that you see them at the end. There will be the opportunity to have the QR code in front of you, and we ask that you please, that'll show up towards the end. Please click on that for your evaluation information, and that's very important to our education team. We also wanted to make note of the Q&A link at the end of the presentation. We are disabling the chat function for those that are online, but we will have the Q&A link, which is actually live now. You might even see some of the information passing before you. So feel free to use the Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer everything live. And whatever we can't get to, or if there's a specific question for our team, we will share that information with them towards the end. We're really excited. We had a lot of folks sign up today online, as well as those that are here in person. So we're excited to end on such a high note. I have been doing a lot of talking about this group, and I was very fortunate to meet with Nate and his team on a couple of issues, and he called me over. I was able to go over and witness the great work that he's done. I'll tell this quick little story. He doesn't know I'm going to say this, but he shared with me that 5 years ago, it's been about 5 years ago, that he started revising. You started with the team 5 years ago, if I'm 8 years ago. So it was 5 years ago, or you were told within 5 years to turn over the culture of a team. And so he has the data, he has the facts, looking at, I'm looking at Steve. Something for me? So yes, the data and the facts, they've improved recruitment, retaining staff, and changing a culture. So it'll be exciting to hear about a lot of the excitement and the exciting things that they have going on over in their area. I would like to introduce Nathan Gutschow, and he is the director of the Health Home Care Management team. And two members of his team with him here today, which I'm proud to introduce, Benjamin Hart, which is at the other end of the table, and Gianna Hoffer. And with that, I'm going to hand things over to Nate.
All right, Ben and Gianna, let you guys introduce yourself.
My name is Benjamin Hart. I've been in a few different roles here at URMC Department of Psychiatry. I'm a care coordinator today, and I'm studying for my master's in business administration. So I'm very interested in this topic from an organizational behavior perspective.
Hi, my name is Gianna, and I am the HARP specialist as well as a health home care coordinator. And I am also a clinical mental health counseling graduate student here at U of R.
All right, and I'm Nate Gutschow. I'm the program director of Health Home Care Management in the Department of Psychiatry. And as you can see, we have representatives today from both leadership and care management and our care managers. We wanted to tailor this presentation from both perspectives. The ongoing theme of this presentation is that everyone in a program or work environment can and should take action toward making their work environment psychologically safe and inclusive. So I want to preface this presentation by saying that we're by no means perfect, but whoops, let me go back. So 1 second. So our program isn't perfect. We experience challenges with interpersonal conflict, staff burnout, but over the years, our program has made active efforts to create a positive and supportive workplace to help combat these challenges. So previously, one of our team members came to leadership about a challenging situation regarding psychological safety in our program that was reflective of a much broader psychological safety concern at the institutional level. Our quality assurance coordinator, Tom Cardo, who's also a member of the DICE board, reached out to Chanel Anderson for guidance and support in navigating the team members' concern. Through that process, Chanel got to know more about our program and the actions we've taken over the past years and continue to take to foster a welcoming, inclusive, and safe work environment for all members of our team. Chanel invited our program to present here today to talk about what we've done to create a psychologically safe workplace. So I want to emphasize that our presentation is about the things our team has done to foster an inclusive and psychologically safe work environment. It wasn't just leadership. Our care managers and support staff actively participated along the way. This picture, for example, was from our Black History Month lunch celebration. The individuals pictured here, Sharday, Rosalind, Pam, Shanique, and Tiffany, all care managers from our program, took it upon themselves to organize, decorate, and prepare a Black History Month celebration for our entire team. So this to me was a good example to lead with, because like I just mentioned, our entire team has taken ownership and exhibited leadership in fostering inclusion in our workplace. So these are the three main learning objectives guiding our presentation today. By the end of this presentation, we want everyone to think about and understand what it means to be part of and help foster a psychologically safe work environment. We want to discuss specific actions and steps that were implemented in our program that work for us. And then we want to discuss challenges and steps we've taken and continue to take to try to maintain a psychologically safe work environment. I think learning objective number 3 is most important to me, because I have learned over the years that a positive and safe workplace culture is a journey, not a destination. So I feel like it's something that needs to be continuously worked on and prioritized by every member of the team, especially leadership. So before we continue, I just wanted to give a quick summary of our program and what we do for our patients. So our program is a health home care management program under the Department of Psychiatry. And we're one of 2 adult health home care management programs under the, that falls under the Strong Memorial Hospital umbrella. The other being the embedded health home care management program under the HEPSO office. So health home care management is a program through the New York State Department of Health that provides care management services to patients who have active Medicaid, who are diagnosed with chronic conditions and have barriers to their treatment. And healthcare objectives, barriers to their treatment and healthcare objectives related to social determinants of health. Because we're part of the Department of Psych, most of our patients primarily have behavioral health diagnoses. The social determinants of health that impact their healthcare objectives include lack of transportation, lack of income, involvement with criminal justice system, homelessness, housing insecurity, unsafe living conditions, food insecurity, and poor connectivity to care. In addition to regular health home care management, we also do non-Medicaid behavioral health care management, which in order for a person to qualify for that, it's pretty much the same as health home, except for they have to have a severe and persistent mental illness because it's funded through the Monroe County Office of Mental Health. But the difference is they don't have active Medicaid. We also have our AOT team, which provides more intensive care management to patients that are mandated to our program, and usually the Strong Ties Clinic through court, through an assisted outpatient treatment order, assisted outpatient treatment court order, and also patients that have severe mental illness who qualify for Health Home Plus. And usually they qualify for Health Home Plus due to frequent hospitalizations, homelessness, and criminal justice involvement. And finally, we oversee 2 crisis apartments that are also funded through Monroe County Office of Mental Health. They provide short-term housing, usually up to 60 days, for patients of either care management or the ACT teams who are literally homeless, victims of domestic violence, have a pending eviction, or patients who are utilizing acute services in the hospital because of their current housing situation. All right, Ben, you're up.
Okay, so we're going to talk about a definitional level, difference between trust and psychological safety. They both relate to the ability to take risks. So in business context, there are benefits to calculated risk taking. Trust allows you to give your coworkers the benefit of the doubt when they try or say something, whereas psychological safety is your own perception of your ability to take risks. And so why should we care? Well, teams perform better when team cohesion is strong and turnover is low. Our new CEO reported that one of his top priorities is workforce stabilization. So perhaps folks in the audience, your teams may have struggled with turnover. And so some organizational framing is helpful for the topic. This is just textbook 101 organizational behavior theory. Ideally, you see people giving voice to their concerns, but there's other reactions as well. Ideally, you see people giving voice to what they perceive as strengths and weaknesses in the program and contributing actively to meliora. However, you might also get your second best option, which is loyalty. They just patiently wait for the situation to improve, but they might also impatiently wait for improvement and in the meantime neglect their duties. Finally, they may exit for a variety of reasons. And some of that is okay, it's natural, and it even should be celebrated, like if someone's promoted or moves into a better role. However, sometimes exit refers to turnover, quitting, burnout, etc. So let's get a little more granular. People want to be safe on multiple levels. On any given days, there is something in my notes, and I'm just going to pause and move this out of my way and all of our way for later because it's distracting. Thank you for your patience. So this graph shows different people we all have on different any given day and the interaction of those roles with psychological safety. So you might be a learner, and so safety means feeling comfortable asking questions, experimenting, learning from mistakes. You might be a challenger, and you might want to point out a potential improvement opportunity. You might be a collaborator, so it is safe to share information, have debates in unconstrained ways. And finally, inclusion safety means knowing that your identity will not be a barrier to participation in the workforce. So just being valued on a fundamental level. And this has direct tie-ins to DEI work. And it also refers to flatter organizational structures, multidisciplinary teams, and being valued irrespective of titles and hierarchies. So there are different ways to measure this in organizations, but we did not do that directly. We're kind of doing a post facto analysis of what we've done and what worked. But when you think of process improvement, you might think of systems like lean or agile, and those can be iterative, and you can adjust and measure on the fly. So having this framework is great, but you do not have to wait for survey results to take healthy risks to improve culture. So when you think about learning and engagement in work, just want to talk about Michael Csikszentmihalyi, who talked about flow states. And I can't talk about all this research in this presentation, but it's enough to say that there's a Goldilocks zone, right? So you're engaged in your work, you're challenged, but you're meeting the challenge, and it creates a virtuous cycle as opposed to the off-referenced like vicious cycle. So these graphs tell the story. We're challenged, we're skillful in equal measure. Too much challenge and too little skill might lead to frustration. Too much skill and not enough challenge leads to boredom. So with that in mind, psychological safety allows everyone to check in, be honest about where they are, and they can say things like, I need more challenge. I don't have this mastered yet. I need a little breathing room to regroup, so on and so forth. So there's things about our program, Nate introduced it, and it helps and support us pursue psychological safety because the nature of our work requires collaboration across systems and disciplines. So in some ways, we have a natural advantage when pursuing psychological safety initiatives. There's things we're doing as a program, and we'll talk about those. But just from a fundamental perspective, we try to get out of our box as often as we can because we have to. We're working with diverse perspectives from the client, the family, the treatment team, the PCP, specialists, wider support system, community collaborators, on and on. So it all leads to better engagement on crucial conversations. Additionally, we have a flat organizational structure in some ways. We obviously have a program leader, we have team leaders, but from a disciplinary perspective, we're all care managers. We come from diverse experience backgrounds. Some of us were licensed New York State peers. Some of us have clinical licenses, but choose to do care management work. We have some nursing school graduate. We've got entrepreneurs and business people. And you may not think that's a great fit, but some of the skills like networking and cold calling, these are skills that are transferable and help us build rapport with our clients. So back to Nate.
So in 2021, we lost a significant number of our team members due to the New York State vaccine mandate. And significant for us at the time meant 11% of our total full-time exempt care managers almost overnight. Then in 2022, as we worked to replace those team members that we lost, we experienced further unprecedented turnover, most of which came from the employees that we hired and tried to onboard in early 2022. So that turnover rate for in 2022, I believe it was the first quarter of the fiscal year, was around 22% of our team. So we experienced 2 consecutive years of significant turnover. And as a result, in the end of 2022, the leadership team decided to develop and implement a conscientious full spectrum response to improve staff morale, reduce preventable turnover, and to create an environment where everyone has a voice and everyone's voice is heard. So we looked at everything from hiring and onboarding to how we conduct trainings, to our day-to-day operations, our remote work policy. We formed a retention work group at the end of 2022 and invited the whole team to take part, including leadership, care managers, and our support staff. The team voiced their concerns, their frustrations, and ideas for improvement, and we did what we could to course correct where possible based on that input. So we only have a limited amount of time, so I think there are 3 main takeaways from this presentation that I want to convey. The first is that active listening is a simple but powerful tool that, when done right, can have a significant impact on morale, psychological safety, and retention. Granted, active listening is not always easy to do, and this is something I myself continue to work on as a leader. But I think making a conscientious effort to be an active listener is an important first step. Second, intentionality. So everything we've done over these past few years to improve our workplace, improve staff morale, improve retention, and to improve psychological safety has been the result of intentional and ongoing decision-making and discussions by our entire team. And the final takeaway is that small changes over time lead to big results. It's small things that make big differences in the long run. So the first key takeaway that I talked about was active listening. And I wanted to highlight and emphasize that really forcing yourself to be an active listener and working on improving as an active listener can drive success in fostering a positive work environment. An example might be when going into a crucial conversation with a colleague, with people you supervise or people that you report to, or in a meeting setting, whether you're running that meeting or you're a participant, going into the conversation or meeting with the intention of understanding where the other person or party is coming from, and not with the intention of trying to win the conversation or prove that your point is better than theirs and that you're right and they're wrong. So like I said in the beginning of this presentation, whoops, let me go back up. So our program is by no means perfect, but one thing I do think we do well as a team is invite open dialogue, whether it's in one-on-one supervisions, team meetings, our larger all care management meetings, or through open door informal supervisions. We try to listen and, most importantly, act on concerns as they're brought to our attention. If there's something that we can change or adjust, we usually do. And if there's something we really can't change or something we have little control over, we explain this when we can, usually in open dialogue with the team. So one thing I've been doing consistently for over 8 years at this point is starting all of my meetings with meeting etiquette reminders. I always emphasize with our team, in every meeting, to the point where I joke about sounding like a broken record, that it's important to me that everyone has a voice in our meetings and everyone's voice is heard. I also always make sure I leave time at every meeting for roundtable, and I encourage our team to speak up and bring up anything they want to discuss, whether it's questions, comments, concerns, kudos. We emphasize meeting etiquette to enforce inclusive communication with everyone. So an example of that, I always encourage the care managers to have their videos on and also saying their name before they speak. The reason why is because a big part of communication is the nonverbal piece. And we have a care manager on our team who's deaf. And so we want to make sure that we say our name so that it's easier for the interpreters to relay who's currently communicating. And also too, so that she can see our facial expressions as well. So my personal goal during roundtables, especially when concerns are brought up, is to try to understand where the team is coming from and hopefully take action when I can. It's tough sometimes in leadership to have these types of conversations, but I think having the right mindset beforehand helps. And if something isn't working or something needs attention, it's okay to acknowledge that and take action on it if it's an area where you can affect change.
All right, so as previously mentioned, let me just do this. As previously mentioned, Chanel Anderson invited us to present at Grand Rounds because of our inclusive and supportive work environment. Before agreeing to do so, Tom Cardo, our QA coordinator, wanted to make sure that everyone in the program felt that we have created this psychologically safe environment and that our doing so was not just based on the perception of the leadership team. He sought the team's feedback and asked everyone to voice any concerns that they may have about us doing the presentation. The team was in support of us presenting today. In our response, myself and another care manager approached Tom, stating that while we do feel our program embodies psychological safety, we feel there is room for improvement when it comes to working with our trans and gender expansive patients. As members of the LGBTQ+ community ourselves, my coworker and I feel safe and accepted in our workplace. However, we feel there's a lack of knowledge and appropriate education and resources for working with this population. We know our workplace fosters growth and our team is open to education to provide more trans-affirming care. This is important because the care we provide is correlated to the effects of LGBTQ+ people experiencing stigma and discrimination. According to the American Psychiatric Association, this can cause a delay in necessary health care or foregoing it altogether. LGBTQ+ individuals may have less social support, and they are more likely to be victims of violence. Specifically, transgender individuals have higher rates of poverty and unemployment. Because of the sense of psychological safety in our program, we felt comfortable bringing up our concern in the first place. Tom then brought our concern to the rest of the leadership team, and they agreed it was an area we could grow as a team. Our concerns were heard and validated, and planning started on how we could go about addressing them. As part of the follow-up, we met with Scott Fearing, Organization Development Specialist, Office of Learning and Development, and Megan Lytle, PhD, Clinical Director of Transgender Patient Experience and Associate Professor, to discuss avenues for training and education of our team regarding working with trans and gender expansive patients. We are exploring how to leverage the existing safe space training and the expertise of Megan and her team to provide this education to our team. We are still figuring out what approach to take, but the conversation has started. For those of you not familiar, safe space training will include LGBTQ+ clients in general, respecting pronouns, and advocating against transphobia and misgendering.
So this picture here is of a tree that is on the wall of our suite. And it's an example of what we mean when we talk about intentionality. So each leaf is filled out by members of our team with what they like best about being a care manager or being in care management. In all of our staff meetings as well, for over 8 years at this point, I encourage people to speak up and share success stories, either about themselves or the patients that they're working with. I always emphasize that no success story is too small to share. I'm intentional about success stories because I want our team to recognize and internalize that the work they do for the people we serve has a significant impact on their quality of life. I always say for every complaint I receive, there are 100 success stories I never get to hear about. And I want our team to normalize speaking up and sharing their successes, whether they're patient-related or personal, even if it's something that you or I might think is insignificant or we take for granted. For example, like getting to our doctor's appointments or taking our medications or even maintaining our housing. So for some people we work with, these are significant milestones, and I want our team to remember this because oftentimes the work that they do is thankless. So Ben's about to take over next and talk about 7 specific processes we either developed, implemented, or adjusted in our program regarding a psychologically safe work environment. But before I turn it over, I just want to touch briefly on what I meant by small changes over time can lead to big results, and just give one simple example. So I've never really been one to decorate my office, but I remember in 2018, when I originally took the Safe Space training with Scott Fearing, everyone was given the Safe Space sign to hang up in their personal workspace at the completion of that training. Scott explained in that training, and it stayed with me all these years, that just doing something simple like hanging a Safe Space sign in your office lets everyone know that your office is a safe space. And it's a simple way to convey your ideals, the culture of your program, team, or even the broader institution. Megan Lytle has also mentioned and brought this up numerous times regarding the significance of something as simple as putting your pronouns on your email signature, especially if you're in a position of leadership, and the message of support that this small, simple action can convey. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Ben so that he can talk through other things that we've done and are continuing to do that have been effective for our program.
Okay, firstly, I want to touch on something we really try to avoid. There's an inclination when you're working with challenging client populations to blow off steam, maybe vent, but research supports that this cathartic exercise is not all that helpful and can actually be harmful. So better to process, take a walk, take healthy breaks, talking with a coworker or leader, like that's all okay. But dehumanizing language, making jokes at the expense of people with mental illness, saying what they need, what they don't need, that's the danger zone. So instead, we try to talk in terms of pros and cons, recommendations. We would try to be person-centered. Does not mean we don't laugh, we don't joke. In fact, we had a workshop from the Alliance for Rights and Recovery, and they presented on how to integrate humor appropriately and safely. But we're careful how we do it. We don't make fun of groups, neighborhoods, poverty in order to help ourselves feel better. We're witnessing a lot of traumatic things, but joking and laughing about it in a dehumanizing way is a shortcut to more burnout, not less. And if someone crosses the line, we'll try to call them in. If it need to, call them out. And we personally quickly admit it when we do cross the line ourselves. All right, onto the specific processes. Talked about meeting etiquette reminders. We also honor our intentions. We do a quote of the day. It's a call to order. We use a visual management board, and then we specifically ask for success stories, personal, professional. Talk about wellness and steps people are taking to support their own wellness. We leave time for roundtable, more of an open discussion. And finally, we're thoughtful about the purpose of meetings in the first place. Nate is perfectly willing to cancel a meeting in order to help us focus on our day-to-day work. We might end early and give time back. So being flexible and intentional with how we use meetings. I'm sure you've all been there. This meeting could have been an email. So think about that as you work towards psychological safety. We also do support for employee education. We've got a lot of people currently pursuing higher education. I don't know if we exceed the average, but I feel like it's a lot. We've got people going for nursing, mental health counseling, MBAs, so very diverse in their pursuits. And additionally, management is open to approving team members to go to URMC and external community events. We had a great group go to the Boundless Together conference. We presented at We Want Access, that's person-centered housing options. We had folks go to housing, health, and environmental justice. And we also very involved with the Alliance for Rights and Recovery. They do individual Zoom trainings. Point is, we're just constantly learning. We're going out, we're reporting back to the team. And sometimes we're contributing at those events. Our team cares a lot about wellness. We allow and encourage folks to try wellness in ways that work for them, but we're sensitive to folks who do not respond well to pressure to participate. So very clear that these are optional, but we still had a lot of successes like participating in the corporate challenge, doing the program offered through WellU. Currently it's Go Gold, but there was Walktober. So we post a team. We want to give a shout out to Justin Schaefer on our team, who actually was the top male finisher for URMC at the corporate challenge. And we also participated in the National Association for Mental Illness walk. That's myself and my wife and my daughter. So we're engaging in physical wellness, but also mental and spiritual elements. We did an evaluation of retention, and Nate and the management team did a listening session of our team's needs and desires and advocated for some changes. It was an expansion of work remote and hybrid work options. We also do not have to request time off for a single day use of vacation time. People manage their own caseload and they kind of know, and it removes the paperwork and approval burdens, kind of a time saver. So typically team leaders will cover any emergent situation for those single day cases. The management team also starts with trust and understands that mistakes happen. Oh, excuse me. We're beholden to our funding sources and regulatory bodies. There's certain pain points, but our management team is advocating for like more user-friendly options. We've got Honey, we've got Grin, which are two oversight bodies. They each have their own idiosyncrasies. Sometimes it's, quite frankly, it's obnoxious, but the team understands that, the leadership understands that. Our QA team lead corrects us gently, breaks down the requirements, and helps the team improve because we're beholden to something bigger than ourselves in that case. All right, also personality, personalization, creativity, aesthetics matter. So we have a dedicated group of people who take time to put up decorations for holidays, organize wellness activities. It's voluntary, it's participatory. I think that folks who choose to do it do not feel like it's more work, but actually energizing. It's a kind of and it's not a committee. It's really organic, homegrown desire, and it motivates people. But the management team does support it. So not to say that because it's not official, it's not supported. It's just organic. Folks personalize their cubicles. Mindy's got, she should win the award, focuses on the color scheme of yellow. Very beautiful. We've got a joy jar and a stress ball library. So everyone puts their own touch on their personal space. We have active, thoughtful, and intentional awareness of stress, vicarious trauma, compassion fatigue, and we check in on each other, especially after tough phone calls. Because we're in cubicle land, we can often overhear when something's difficult. People come in and check on us. We regularly remind folks about EAP and what it has to offer. And I want to give a shout out to Tom Cardo once again, make the audience aware of the critical incident response that EAP can provide. So we had a rough patch in 2022. We had several clients pass away. Staff member had a workplace emergency, and just all the noise of staff retention, onboarding a bunch of staff at one time. And our QA took notice. He coordinated and arranged EAP to do a facilitated debrief. So it's completely optional, but many folks found it beneficial, including myself, and management is plugged into the wellness needs of staff and particularly responsive when it's called to do so. And lastly, number 7, on a high note, we do team retreats, monthly potlucks. These are photos of a great day at Genesee Valley Park. We did karaoke, played lawn games, some dancing, and Dr. Lee came to visit us. A couple more, we do baby showers. We did a color day. Each team wore a different color. We had wear a tie day. We celebrated retirements, but we also celebrate milestones. So Janice Allnat, I think, is our longest running team member. She didn't retire, but she had 30 years on the job, and we did something special for her in office. We did a happy hour at McGregor's. all optional. We know people have different ways of celebrating and different comfort levels with how they participate. So we had one baby shower that's very traditional. Ooh, ah, so cute. And another one that was said a little more subdued because she didn't really like to be the center of attention. So just being thoughtful, making it as optional as possible and allowing people to come as they are. And can leave out Crocs and Socks Day. It's just pure fun. We're lucky our area is not a patient care area. So we need proper footwear when we go in the community or we go out front and meet a client. But in our office setting, we can have Crocs, and we also have a jeans day on Friday. All right, back to Nate.
All right, so maintaining a work environment that's positive, inclusive, psychologically safe is an ongoing process that requires thought, effort, and purposeful action. It's about the journey, not the destination. Changing the culture of a work environment can take years, and it's important to get buy-in from everyone on the team to work together at maintaining a positive, psychologically safe work environment. So anyone who's ever been in management, or really anyone who's ever worked with another group of people, no matter your role, knows when there's an elephant in the room at work. In the past, I haven't always been eager to address the elephant in the room. And I think the main reason why is because it's hard. It makes you vulnerable to criticism. It opens up potentially difficult, crucial conversations, and it leads to navigating and addressing challenges head on. But if you approach the elephant in the room with the intention of actively listening and actively trying to understand what the problem is, staying open to solutions and input from the team, hopefully the elephant in the room starts to shrink. I think really the main challenge around this is building a culture of trust and respect in an environment where people feel safe to speak up. So it's really hard to address the elephant in the room if your team is nervous about speaking up about the elephant in the room. We currently have quite a few care managers who are out for various reasons. And this has meant that we have had to transfer a lot of patients between care managers and assign a lot of cases to people as coverage. This can be overwhelming because the care managers end up receiving a lot of cases in a really short amount of time. So this was our most recent elephant in the room. And I had heard from from the team leaders, from care managers, from support staff, that our team was starting to feel overwhelmed by the amount of caseload coverage that was taking place. In reality, there wasn't much we can or could do about this from my perspective, but I did open this up to discussion during roundtable and sought feedback from the team. So the team did speak up, and they acknowledged that it was helpful that we slowed down the number of new referrals that they were receiving until they could get better acclimated to their coverage cases. So I think sometimes it's important as well from a leadership perspective to just acknowledge when there's an elephant in the room, and also acknowledge if you don't have all the answers right away to fix it. This is where staff buy-in is important. Opening up the conversation to suggestions and developing an action plan with your team to address whatever the issue might be. So I think the biggest takeaway from this objective is doing continuous regular check-ins with your group as a whole, or even with individual employees. In my case, with our group in care management, it looks like, for me, it's attending our smaller team meetings, doing employee rounds, open door policy with myself and the team leaders, requiring consistent formal and informal documented supervisions, and encouraging roundtable and open dialogue in our bigger care management staff meetings. And when people start speaking up, listen with the intention of understanding, not with the intention of trying to convey your own point of view. Are these things easy to do? In reality, no. But when you're working to improve culture or create a better psychologically safe work environment, if you're stepping outside of your comfort zone and having that open and honest dialogue with other employees, chances are you're on the right track. So Chanel talked a little bit about this, but now since making these changes, have we seen results? And the answer is we have noticed an impact in the workplace and in the work that we do. So for instance, we've seen a sustained improvement in compliance metrics across the entire team, which means Staff can complete their work and have charts up to date more consistently. We have several staff who have maintained 100% compliance in all the different metrics that the health homes mandate. Let's see. So yeah, we have several staff who maintain 100% compliance month to month, and many others who are close, not far behind. Staff turnover has reduced significantly from the 11% that we had in the fall of 2021 to the 22% in the summer of 2022. We've seen staff retention improve. So in addition, the reasons that we've noticed for staff departure have changed, such as promotions within URMC or promotions at external agencies as well. And due to reduced turnover, we've been able to keep clients with the same care managers for longer, except in times where coverage is needed. And this improves the continuity of care that they receive, since they aren't waiting for a new care manager to figure out what's going on or what type of support they need. The general vibe in our office has been a lot more positive and welcoming than in years past. But most importantly, our staff regularly tell leadership how they feel supported, that they're glad that we take their concerns seriously, and how they appreciate the efforts that we take to try to make their jobs a little bit easier.
So we wanted to highlight some of our other team members' views on psychological safety in our office. We have videotaped them and hope it helps elaborate on the work environment we create.
Hi, I'm Justin Schaefer. I'm an AOT/Health Home Plus care coordinator through Strong Ties. I've worked on an inpatient unit at St. Mary's before. I have my bachelor's in psychology from Roberts Wesleyan, and I'm currently enrolled in the professional MBA program through the Simon School of Business. I've been at Strong Ties for a year and a half, and psychological safety to me means to feel comfortable coming to work every day and feeling secure with the people you work with. We do monthly lunches in our program, so it's helpful to get to know each other through those events, and I do my best to make my coworkers feel comfortable coming to me for help when they need assistance with a client. I think we can improve on talking about psychological safety more often.
My name is Mindy Brown. I'm a care manager here for Strong Ties. Just over 2 years. I've been an employee for the U of R since 2007. I enjoy working in Strong Ties Care Management Department because I feel as though that they offer psychological safety. To me, that means feeling valued, respected, safe in this environment. I feel as though that it's an all-inclusive community, that there's open dialogue, that there's always active listening, and that there's equitable opportunities for us all. My contribution to psychological safety is me sharing my knowledge and information that I've experienced, throughout the duration that I've been here in this department, and me communicating effectively with my coworkers, those old and those that are new. I feel as though that I provide also, get well cards, or have a nice day cards, or I decorate people's cubicles just to make them feel, happy. And if they're having a hard day, I blow up balloons for them just so that they can feel appreciated, or that they're not feeling overlooked, because everybody brings about a certain vibe, to the team. But we try to keep a positive vibe, which we do. We definitely do that here. I feel as though that what we can improve on in our department would be more incentives. I would love for us to have a catered gathering once a month, and maybe I don't know, maybe some other things, like even if it's a lollipop, because who doesn't love candy, on their desk every once in a while. But other than that, I feel as though it's a wonderful place to work, and I feel like I'm a valued member, and I'm so glad to be a part of this amazing community. Thanks.
Thanks for bearing with the volume issue. There's one more.
Hi, my name is Brendan Bremer. I am AOT Health and Plus Care Manager with Strong Ties. 3 of the major things that I think make me feel psychologically safe here as an employee is communication, understanding, and compassion. For communication, I think that there is a really good rapport between both coworkers and leaders here. I think that they try to be as upfront with us as possible about serious changes that are happening, and I think that that allows me in particular to feel more comfortable going to them with issues that I might be having or things that I might be concerned about. And the understanding after that, that they really try to meet you at your level, and help resolve you or resolve your issues in any way that they can. I think that they also demonstrate, that when you are experiencing personal issues in your own life, that there is a lot of understanding and empathy that goes with that as well. Giving you time and the resources that you might need to sort of handle that in your outside life so that you can be more effective at your job here. Compassion, I think that they demonstrate a lot of empathy towards, who we're working with, our demographic, and us as individuals. A lot of our clients go through really hard situations, and that can be hard for us as well. And I think that they do a really good job of listening to us and demonstrating that, that they do care, and that if you are experiencing hardships or some situations where their clients might be really emotionally draining, they're there to listen and help where they can. And I think that that makes me feel a lot better about being here and being more open to coming forward, like with my own things going on, either with like personal life or clients. And I think that those are really important pieces for me to feel safe here.
I think we're opening up to questions now.
Please join me in thanking this wonderful team. We appreciate all the information that they brought along with them. One of the things that I'm astounded by is the fact that I'll use one of your listening or your takeaways, and you said small changes yield big results. We saw lots of small changes and then big results. I'm just referencing your staff turnover and how you went from such a high rate to a low rate. That's like astonishing. The fact that people want to be in your spaces and stay in your spaces. So again, I say a round of applause for that. If we have any questions in the room, please raise your hand and Steve will run the microphone over and I will monitor our Q&A chat.
I just want to thank so much for all the work our health home care management team is doing. It's such an important dimension of our department, and our team really shines because of particularly the compassion that they display on day-to-day basis. At the same time, they work in such a high-stress environment. And I guess my question relates to the fact that, when I first came here, about 5 to 7 years ago, our team was having a lot of difficulty with retention rate, and there was also a lot of conflicts within the group as well. But you look like you have made such a turnaround. So I was wondering if you have any advice to other workplaces in our department. This is particularly important because we have a town hall meeting for the staff that's we're gonna have in about 2 weeks, and the focus of that meeting will be awareness. And I'm just so impressed by what you've been doing. So.
Thanks, Dr. Lee.
One thing I'll say is Nate and the leadership team encourage us to end our day like half an hour early, in the sense, not leave work, but don't take another phone call. Don't, maybe journal, maybe finish up a note, but don't take a phone call 5 o'clock on a Friday, knowing you're only there till 5:30, because then, so like building in some wind down time. And I also think the onboarding is really key. It's a gradual onboarding of employees. So within your first 30 days, you're doing a lot of training and you're doing a lot of shadowing. but you're not getting a caseload, because the worst thing you can do is overwhelm someone too early. And then even after that, we build caseloads slowly. It's not like 30 days and then you got a full caseload. It's like we usually, the typical caseload's 40. So it's 8, 16, 24. And you check in. If 8's, whoa, I don't quite have this mastered yet. Or I'm bored, I've done this at my last job, give me more. That's what we mean about gradual and intentional onboarding too. So those are two things we didn't necessarily cover in our presentation, but I think are probably helpful in all programs.
Yeah, and I think I'll just add from a leadership perspective, I think change takes time. And I think for me, what I've done over the years is just continuously sort of hammer the point that I want people speaking up. I want to hear what we're doing wrong. I want to hear what we're doing right. So that's why I kind of make that joke. I sound like a broken record in our meetings. I start all of our meetings the same exact way, and I read the meeting etiquette reminders to our team. And it was something that when I first started, I thought might not have went over well, but staff actually really responded well to that. And it's made our meetings a lot more productive and a lot more efficient as well. So I try to hammer those points home over and over again that I want people speaking up. It's safe to speak up as long as it's done in a respectful way. And we always try to convey that same respect to our care managers. So we expect that respect as well. And we try to take action where we can. And if it's something that we can't take action on, I'll usually explain why if it's appropriate.
Thank you.
I noticed that you had HARP up there. So I'm asking, are you hiring and training staff to be peer support specialists?
So I'm the HARP specialist. We have one person, which is me, taking care of it. Otherwise, other agencies, they have, each care manager doing the job. And what I do is I actually refer people to peers and stuff. So within Strong Ties, where, we have our office in the back and a lot of our patients go there for behavioral health. They do have peers there. Otherwise, I refer them to different agencies in the community. So I would, just recommend looking in the community at different agencies. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Question was, what's the turnaround time for peer support services?
Yeah, it can be pretty quick. So what I do is, these are our clients who have Medicaid. So they have Medicaid, and then they also have a certain code through Medicaid. Usually they're high utilization in the emergency department for mental health, or utilizing other mental health services more frequently than others. And if they have that, then I'm able to, speak with them, and, they have the autonomy to choose whichever agency they want to go through. If they are a patient at Strong Ties, the clinic, they can choose to go there, but usually it's pretty quickly, maybe a week if, just a ballpark.
Hi, first, thanks particularly for your 3 takeaways. That was really helpful. I think the thing that I find the most challenging in thinking about how I apply this to my workplace, where I'm a residency program director, is you all work within what I would call a stable team. So even though you have some turnover, your team remains stable. Residents are constantly in unstable teams. They're moving to different clinical spaces on a pretty frequent level, and they're often going into other teams on a regular basis. So I'm curious if you have any suggestions for how to apply those takeaways, particularly in that setting of unstable teams.
I think the concept of like form, storm, and norm is helpful. It's a good framework. And, there's books and research, and I don't know exactly who developed that framework, but having milestones within the forming, having milestones within the storming, and then the norming really helps. So without knowing the details of your program, can't say for sure, but try to build in scheduled planned events, scheduled planned milestones, recognize people's individualities, and even games, 2 truths and a lie. I think when we have a new staff join the team, we do 3 interesting facts. And you can also make it intermittent so that that woman, Mindy, who spoke, she's great. She'll put a lollipop on your desk that says, "Thank you, you're a rock star," with a little note, or she made a little placard, and it was something silly and fun, but it really brought us together. We listed our favorite movie, our favorite color. I can't remember the specifics, and we did a 2 truths and a lie. So all these things you can just Google, like fun get to know you worksheet, and then ask them to do it. And you're working with residents, smart people, but let them, make them have fun, kind of like, don't make them, but encourage them as much as you can to try something just to get to know you and be silly together.
And I think I'll just add quick, setting and maintaining consistent standards right from the beginning. Sort of like I talked about with the small things that have the biggest impact. So having signs up in your office, sort of conveying your workplace ideals. And I think, yeah, just setting those consistent and maintaining those standards from group to group. That would be my recommendation, my advice, I guess.
And I have a comment and then I have a question. The comment came in from Dr. Oliveras, and she said, "Outstanding teamwork and leadership. Kudos to the entire team. It has been a pleasure to watch this team change over time. Keep up the excellent teamwork and watching out for one another. Walking through your environment a few weeks ago, the change was palpable. Congratulations."
Oh, thank you.
And my question is more so geared towards when someone is leaving your team. I'm working on creating an exit interview just so we can learn from why people leave. Do you have anything in place like this?
I do have exit interviews. I actually forgot what the questions were because we haven't had too many people leave recently, but I usually do exit interviews on the last day, the very last day, so that people can be as honest with me as they want. Like for example, the main things that I try to capture is did they voice their concerns? Were their concerns heard? What's the reason why they're leaving? Is there anything that we could have done to encourage them to stay, or anything that we could have done differently to have them stay? I actually, I can send you my exit interview as well. But yeah, that's a big point, a good point that I wanted to make. We do exit interviews. I did exit interviews. I think we lost 16 staff in 2022, and I did exit interviews with almost everyone except for people that weren't there on their last day. And that's what we tried to do, was take the key themes or the key reasons why they left, and that's how we sort of implemented our retention strategy, or what we added to our retention strategy.
We talked about it too. We have some people who start and then leave within 30 days. And that's another reason why I say slow onboarding, because the worst thing you can do is give someone work and then give it right back to your existing team and overextend. So, but some of those people, it's hard to reach. Usually they're managing multiple job offers. So they probably just got ours first, accepted, and then switched to someone else. So that is a big issue. There's a certain amount of transience built into the workforce that wasn't there 50 years ago. But being responsive, and I think Nate also said he emphasized when he was looking at resumes, longevity, not just experience and cumulative experience, but longevity in 1 or 2 positions immediately prior to joining our team.
Well, thank you. Thank you all. Again, please join me in a round of applause for our team. And if you have any questions, they'll be sticking around for a few moments. And as a reminder, the QR code is on your screen, whether you're online or in person. And we'd just like to draw your attention to what's coming up this summer. We start on July 10th with our Brown Bag series. So we hope to see you all there, and check your emails for all the fun information. Thank you.
Thank you.